back to the Koze channel. For today we're doing episode 2 in the Koze Kitchen, which means we're making a good old vegan stew. You guys voted on whether we wanted to do a like noodle soup broth type thing, like pho, or the vegan stew and vegan garlic bread. So you guys won this one over, and here we are today. I picked up all the ingredients, which I will list down below, and we're gonna cook and just talk and hang out today. So hopefully you guys are seated with a warm beverage and ready to go. So really quick before we get started, make sure you guys go cast your vote for the next Koze Kitchen. We're either gonna be baking chocolate chip cookies or peanut butter brownies. Depending on which ones you guys wanna see for the next Koze Kitchen, definitely go cast your vote. And aside from that, let's jump into today's vegan stew because I'm pretty hungry, and to be honest, I've been thinking about garlic bread since this morning and I knew I was gonna be filming this. So let's jump in. First things first, I'm using the Gardein meat-free beefless ground. I decided to make this like a beef stew because I wanted to try and make it for those of you guys that aren't vegan as well, to make it enticing for you as well, or interchangeable. So the first thing we need to do is just basically brown this a little bit in the frying pan. So I'm using my nonstick pan and I'm just literally going to like roast this for like 4 to 5 minutes and then put it off to the side so it's ready to just jump in our stew when we're done. So while that's, warming up, roasting up, I'm gonna start prepping my veggies and talk to you guys because I wanted Koze Kitchen to be one of those things where we would be hanging out, not just cooking, but talking about an actual topic. So I came up with the topic of things that we can do in the winter time because I feel like we're kind of in that awkward period now of winter where like Christmas is over and it's January. It can become super easy to kind of get like stuck in the winter blues a little bit. So I'm gonna share with you guys some of my favorite things to do in the winter time that I find just like kind of creates a little bit of like hermit magic, I guess you might say, especially for those of you guys like me living in the colder places of the world. Winter can be a little magical if you can find a way to enjoy the solitude. So first things first, when it comes to things to do in the winter time, obviously the most clearly obvious one, because we're doing it right now, is to cook or bake yourself something cozy. I feel like in the summer, I'm always kind of busy and running around and cooking isn't as easy to do, but in the winter time, it's like a good time to play around with new recipes. Get inspired by baking again. You can, just because like Christmas is over, doesn't mean you can't continue to bake good like cookies or brownies or cupcakes or anything like that, which is why I decided to make the next Koze Kitchen baking, because I feel like it's been a while since we've baked just like a super yummy treat. And with Valentine's Day around the corner, I figured something sweet and yummy would be a good choice. But cooking yourself just like healthy, yummy foods or comforting foods like soups and stews is always extra fun when it's like cold outside, because you feel like, I don't know, I feel like food is just like such a cozy thing. We all, as humans, we love to taste food. And so why not do it in the winter time when, you're kind of stuck indoors. So I'm gonna finish prepping the rest of these vegetables. I basically am cutting up 1 stalk of celery, about 1/3 of an onion, a couple mushrooms, 2 potatoes, and then peeling and cutting up some carrots as well, and then putting them all into the pot. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of garlic. Now I buy my garlic just like pre-minced because it just makes it a lot easier since, I don't know, I'm kind of lazy. So I'm just gonna take like a little scoop of this, very professionally with this steak knife, and add it to the pot. I feel like I'm one of those people where I'm like, the more garlic, the better. I'm like a garlic fiend, so we'll just finish off what's left in here. Pretty much done. Just like nice and brown. I feel like it's maybe more so like a real meat thing that you want to cook it before you add it to your stew, but I like to take all precautions. So this is what the Gardein beef looks like afterwards. So I'm gonna leave the beef out here because it's already been, or like the veggie beef, pre-warmed up and cooked, and then I'm gonna throw all of our veggies onto the stove and go over tip number 2, or the second favorite thing that I love to do come the wintertime. So the second thing I love to do come wintertime is read. Now, I feel like I get a lot more reading done in the wintertime than the summertime, so I almost try and get a little bit ahead or put my heavier books during the winter months. So It's currently January. These are the two books that I'm currently reading. Now, I did a full video on the Koze channel of my 2019 reading list. If you guys want to watch it, I will link it down below. But I'm about a quarter of the way through both of these. So this is, a quarter of the way. I wrote this book, this is Catcher, and I'm reading it again so I can write the second one and make sure that I don't leave like any, loose ends in the second story. And the other book that I'm reading, or my nonfiction book, is The Bullet Journal Method. Now, I'm super obsessed with this book right now, and it's caused me to start bullet journaling in my spare time and just make it a new hobby of mine that I want to learn in the winter time. So I feel like I said, I do get some reading done in the summer when I'm on vacation and I'm traveling, but I find that in the winter time, because there's not so much to do outdoors, it's a really good time to kind of just nestle in, throw on your favorite reading playlist, and just get caught up in your books. Not that this has anything to do with step number 3. We're just gonna add a little bit of this to our stew to give it a bit more of a punch, but what I was talking about in the first one with my bullet journaling book is to start a new hobby in the wintertime. I feel like come wintertime, it's a really good chance to kind of, take the spare time that you have and get into new hobbies that you maybe can't do once you're busier or in other months. It was actually wintertime last year that I started getting into meditating, I started getting into yoga, I started getting into reading and just all of those things. And now I'm skip forward a year later, and those are some of the biggest things that I still enjoy doing in my spare time, even in the summer months, but most especially in the winter months, because I know how my brain works. I know how I am or how I get, and when the winter comes around, it kind of gets cloudy, it gets a little gloomy. It's easy to kind of slip into this, I feel like I'm not living my life, versus, when you get tied up in books and you get tied up in starting a new hobby and just sharpening a skill of some sort, I feel like it makes you feel like you're kind of in training mode for the year, and then summer is your performance mode, So starting a new hobby for me, it's bullet journaling this year, and I'm still doing my yoga and my meditation and all that. I don't recommend drinking as a hobby, but that said, we're gonna add some of this red wine to the veggies to help them roast a bit, and like I said, to give them a little punch. So next up, I'm just gonna add some broth and then let the stew kind of simmer, cook up the rest of the potatoes and carrots, and just soak in that flavor. So I'm just using Campbell's Organic Vegetarian Broth. You can also make your own broth, get creative if you feel like it. This is just the lazy girl hack to some stew. And then in terms of my next tip or thing to do in the wintertime is honestly just hang out with yourself. I feel like we've kind of already been touching on this, but the whole hanging out with yourself, this is such a good time, I feel like, to be the hermit. In tarot, when you pull the hermit card and it's telling you to meditate and journal and write and just spend time by yourself. Watch the TV shows you want to watch the movies you want to watch, do some self-care, have a pamper night, give yourself a face mask, just play around with your look, clean out your closet, move around your bedroom, just hang out with yourself, because I feel again, the other seasons of the year, spring, summer, fall, all of it, I feel like they're so much busier, where winter is such a good time to kind of nestle in and reroute with yourself, and the only way to do that is to hang out with yourself. And what better time than when it's cold and miserable outside while you're eating stew. I'm so excited for this portion of the video, guys. We're gonna make the vegan garlic bread. I even picked up a fresh loaf. Now you can use whatever bread you have. It's just, I don't buy bread very often, so when I do, I go ham. This is the AirPods of bread. So all I'm gonna do for the garlic bread, again, this is kind of a vegan lazy girl hack to garlic bread, but I'm just gonna cut up a couple of the pieces, and on top I'm just gonna put more of the minced garlic we were talking about, some Daiya dairy-free cheddar style cheese, and some Basil vegan butter, and then just broil it in the oven for literally a couple minutes, not even, and out will come our garlic bread. A little trick to garlic bread is to sprinkle just the tiniest bit of salt on top of your bread and your garlic before you add your cheese. I'm just using pure pink Himalayan salt. I'm gonna sprinkle it into my hand so that it doesn't get too out of hand, for lack of a better word, and then just pinch it on. So it's not a lot, but just enough to kind of give it just a little pinch of taste. Off the weenus. So many memes. And then last but not least, adding my vegan cheese. Now, of course, you guys can make garlic bread without vegan cheese, but I thought if we're going all out and making stew and talking about all the comfy things that are winter, we need to add some cheese. The fifth thing that I love to do or like to do or think it's really fun to do in the wintertime is to set out your goals and make your plans, because I feel like, especially right now, we're all in January. And of course, there's always that pressure when the new year starts to kind of hit the ground running, and normally I am that way, but this year I've kind of taken all of January to really just seed what I want to do this year and to really go through like what I'm committing to, what I'm saying yes to, and like the types of things that I'd love to see happen this year. And so taking, you know, this time to be indoors and kind of, I guess, hidden away from the world, you can also use this time to make a dream board, to set out your goals for 2019 and to really establish like a game plan as to how you're going to attack said goals, so that halfway through the year or 3/4 through the year or even at the end of the year, you're happy that you took this winter time to really kind of like zone in your focus, you know? Okay, and then last but not least, the final thing that I'm gonna do to just add, again, just the tiniest little punch to our stew. I know it's gonna sound weird, but I promise you it'll taste good. I'm just gonna add a little bit of just tomato pasta sauce. And when I say a little bit, I mean like a tiny little spoonful, just to kind of give it a bit more, I guess, thickness, you could say, but also a little bit more flavor to the broth. And then I'm gonna finish it off with spices. I'm just gonna use a little bit more pink Himalayan salt, a little bit more pepper, and that'll probably honestly be it. Oh, and rosemary. So then last but not least, I'm adding the beef that we cooked up at the beginning into the stew, putting our garlic bread in and roasting just the top of it, and then we'll be able to eat. Food porn. And thus, our vegan stew. I'll give you guys a few little close-ups so you guys can see what it looks like, and then we'll do our taste test and wrap up this Koze Kitchen. Okay, so that is it for today's Koze Kitchen. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you decide to try out the vegan stew and garlic bread, then definitely let me know, tweet me, Instagram it at me, send me a picture. I want to see your recreations. And also be sure to go vote if you guys want to do chocolate chip cookies or peanut butter brownies for February's Koze Kitchen. Aside from that, I'm going to feast on this and also give Mike, filming behind you guys right now.
Oh no. This is a bad idea.
And I will see all of you guys in next Sunday's Koze video. Bye guys. Okay, now we can actually eat this. This is really good.
Perfect.